Our matches against CLG always come down to one small thing.
If you look back through a lot of the TSM versus CLG series, you'll see that it usually comes down to crazy fights.
Some people run and they hide. Some people stay and they fight.
In the finals, Season 5 summer split,
when Double was on the team, the rest of our team made a mistake. They all died.
me and Afro pulled off like a 2v4 or 2v5.
I think my most memorable play against CLG would probably be my Karma pentakill.
Closes the game out with a pentakill. Are you kidding me?
In Season 6, Spring, the finals was decided by one team fight.
And most of the time, it always results in a bloodbath. It takes a toll during the series because it's very intense.
At the beginning of the split, they got Baron, they won a team fight, and all hope is looking lost for us. And then Afro just makes a clutch recon play. We're about to end the game, and then just because we didn't defend our wave, we just lost the game.
And TSM going coast to coast for the win.
Coming to the end of the season, like, it's going to be some intense close games again. It's definitely our most important match of the year, and it's also the last match of the season.
I already know what they're gonna do. They already know what we're gonna do.
It'll be a game of inches.
Welcome to our final day of the summer regular split. Our positions at the very top and bottom are still to be determined with today's matches. And the crowd has filled the arena once again to cheer on their favorite teams as they make their push for either avoiding the promotion tournament or seeding come the playoffs. Earlier, Dardoch and the rest of Team Liquid entered our studios. They'll be facing off against Alltech and Team Dignitas, who are looking to show their playoff form today. Over on the other screen, Grig is in the ready room with Echo Fox. They'll be looking to match up against Sneaky and Jensen, who are prepping on stage as we speak. Gonna get a shot of them in just a moment. Here they are.
Jensen kind of hiding behind the camera.
Jensen's trying to avoid the spotlight. Can't do that, though, when you play the way he does. Hello, everyone. I'm James Dash Patterson, and on the last day of summer, my producers gave to me Sam, Kobe, Harmon, Kensler, and Mark.
Hold on, there's so much wrong with that jingle. What was that?
What?
First, it's supposed to be the first day of Christmas. It's summer, and you said last.
What did you think, Kobe?
I thought it was great. Spot
That's all
on.
I need to hear. Now, before we get into our schedule of the day, let's pull up the standings to see what's yet to be determined. First place is in flux, as TSM can take it from Immortals with a win today, while FlyQuest and Phoenix One fight to avoid that promotion tournament. Things kick off on NALCS 1, where Cloud9 meet Echo Fox in the battle arena, followed by TSM aiming to claim first in a match versus rivals Counter Logic Gaming. If you're tuning in on NALCS 2, Team Liquid hit Summoner's Rift opposite Team Dignitas, and after that, FlyQuest and Phoenix One duke it out to avoid the promotion tournament. Gentlemen, looking at these schedules, or rather this schedule, those final matches on both streams have some major consequences, both for the playoffs and for the promotion tournament, postseason hanging in the balance for some teams.
It's pretty crazy that the last two games of the season will determine both the top of the standings and the bottom. I feel like I've never seen that before, where it's literally the last two games.
What a way to end the split, right?
Yeah,
We got lucky.
crazy.
We got lucky with it, but let's talk about those two matches. First up, TSM versus CLG. I mean, every time these two teams meet on the Rift, it makes for an incredibly exciting series, but as you mentioned, it does actually have implications for TSM making that first place slot.
And the first time these guys met early in the season was a complete spectacle, where the last possible fight CLG clinch out some crazy out of nowhere engage, should win the game. TSM make a very heads-up play, cut the wave, they buff them out of their base, and then it's just this insane match, and we get to see it again here now with, like you said, these implications.
Yeah, there's a ton of pressure here on TSM. They want to get the #1 spot, and CLG always want to deny that to TSM.
Yep.
Every time we set up one of these rivalries and we interview the players, they're always talking about how, oh yes, it means that much more to beat TSM or to beat CLG.
And what's fun about it is that if CLG wins, TSM locks in second place, which means that if then CLG wins their quarterfinal, they'll end up facing TSM.
They want another piece
in
of
the semifinals with the confidence boost of having taken them down in the very last game of the regular season. The other all-important matchup of the day is that Phoenix 1 versus FlyQuest over on NALCS 2. Again, both of these teams fighting for their lives in terms of avoiding that promotion tournament.
And these are the two teams that were at the finals in spring. I mean, this was the third place match.
Right.
They've come so far in the wrong direction. I mean, FlyQuest dropped down, and Phoenix 1, they even performed well at Rift Rivals, but now, as you said, they're fighting to get out of the bottom spot.
When, as you said, being the third and fourth place teams from spring, they're also fighting to just hold on to those championship points that they were able to secure in spring, hoping that then maybe they can qualify into the regional gauntlet and maybe make, a run for Worlds.
And you saw that play there from High from yesterday against TL. He's obviously still fighting tooth and nail to try and find his way into that gauntlet match and hopefully get another magical run, because he knows he can do it.
Yep, absolutely. And while we start to get a picture of what teams could attend Worlds, I see 5 legitimate championship contenders here in the North American LCS. I'm going TSM, Immortals, CLG, Cloud9, and Dignitas. I'm leaving Envy out of that list due to recent performances. But with that, one of the most competitive, in my opinion, playoff pictures we've ever had. My question to you guys is, what do you think are the 3 best teams that could represent North America at Worlds if we were to pick right now?
I don't want to, poo-poo all this hype too much.
Yeah, you do. Don't lie to me.
The realistic
Mark
downplay.
Z.
Yeah. It's just like, even last split when P1 was looking slightly better in their form, it was a situation where this team just, they fell apart in the playoffs, and it was 2 dominant semifinals with C9 and TSM once again ending up in that situation. It's once again feeling a little bit for me like Dignitas looking really good. Immortals look dominant, and then when you get to the best of 5s, it's a different beast. People play slower, and you have to have that kind of experience.
Help me out here, Kobe.
I would have to say that Immortals look dominant in a completely different way with this completely different lineup, right? When we were seeing the Hunian reign over All-Stars and going super aggressive, you always kind of have that feeling like this is, a possibility, right?
The wheels could come off at any time.
But because Immortals' victories are so team-based, because they have, such solidarity around their coaching staff now and the improvements from these guys, I do think that Immortals are definitely one of the, heavy favorites.
I'm hoping for it, man.
I think that they would represent North America pretty well at Worlds.
I wouldn't mind seeing a different banner hang in that arena.
Hey, I would love it too. I'm just saying that I'm personally going to go. I think we're in agreement on TSM and CLG. I'm going to go with C9, though.
Okay, C9 making the run with their most recent form, and you think Immortals could make a stab at it, but it really will be close between these teams. Now, as we wrap up the split, hit us up on Twitter and let us know, what are your favorite moments from the summer split? Pentakills, Baron steals, caster bloopers, anything where Mark screws up. You name it.
Never happens.
Tag your responses with that hashtag NALCS so that myself, Jat, and Zyrene can preview some of your responses on NALCS tonight. Good try, Kobe. Nothing left to do, though, but to send it over to the casters to get us in the games.
Thank you very much, Dash. Hello, I am Clayton, Captain Flowers reigns in a world filled with darkness and RNG. The one thing that is always certain is Aiden Zyrene Moon. You ready, buddy?
I'm definitely ready.
Are you down?
I'm down.
Let's do it. Fans are gearing up for our first series of the day, Cloud9 versus Echo Fox. For Cloud9, this match is about hitting that top form before playoffs.
Yeah, Cloud9, they're locked into playing Dignitas in the quarterfinals, and they want to keep up that dominant form that we've been seeing from them in the last few weeks. And in this matchup in particular, it's hard to not highlight the 2 Danes facing off in the mid lane. These 2 are responsible for some of the most dominant laning stats in the entire league. Froggen and Jensen are #1 and 2 in CSD. Froggen is first in the entire league in solo kills, and Jensen is right behind him for mid laners with 16. So my eyes are definitely on the mid lane here.
And we saw Jensen yesterday padding some of those solo kill stats in the series that they played there, but we'll see if the whole of Echo Fox can keep up with the action in the mid lane as they look towards the future for their entire squad.
Yeah, and the squad's been kind of rotating back and forth, and Echo Fox's season comes to an end here no matter what happens in terms of results. So this is the last match of stage time and another opportunity for them to build up their teamwork. And speaking about teamwork, yesterday Akaadian actually tweeted out that he had never felt as useless in a match as he did in their match versus Immortals yesterday. So I'm expecting him to come out today focusing very highly on aggression and being really proactive. But he's going up against Contractz, who's the guy who took away Akaadian's chance at Rookie of the Split in his big debut. And that's what I'm looking at here, because this will be a good mark to show that Contractz got Rookie, but who improved in their sophomore split the most?
Well, let's go ahead and dive right into the starting lineups in this head-to-head. On the blue side, it's Cloud9 with Impact in the top lane, Contractz, that rookie from last split in the jungle, Jensen mid, Sneaky bot, Smoothie supporting, and Coach Reaper.
And that means starting off on the red side, it's going to be Echo Fox. In the top lane, starting Brandini. The jungle will be Akaadian, Froggen in mid, Mash in the bot lane with support Gate, and Coach Inero.
And there's been so much discussion around Cloud9 this split with the top lane especially. A lot of the conversation about how they've bounced back and been on this winning streak lately is, you know, the meta's really favoring Impact. He seems to be back into his own form.
Yep.
But I don't just want to praise the top lane for Cloud9 because on the other side with Echo Fox, Brandini has really been stepping up for this.
Yeah, Brandini's actually a guy that solo killed someday and did a fantastic job the last time I had seen him. And he's kind of somebody who's like not as much time with the team to synergize because they played him in the last, I believe, 8 to 7 games back-to-back without Looper in the top lane. I think he hasn't played since week 7-ish. So we're seeing them kind of say Brandini for communication is a better fit for the team. And so Echo Fox as a whole are kind of going between, right now, Mash and Keith back and forth in the AD carry position. Otherwise, the roster seems to be more or less settling down in terms of how they're rotating people out.
Well, let's see how they dive into these picks and bans for the first time today. LeBlanc and Gragas banned away by Cloud9. Echo Fox going to go ahead, remove Elise, and that permanently banned Caitlyn from the table.
Yeah, let's see if Zach jumps up there too, because he has some little less priority recently.
Lucian banned in the first round of bans as well from Cloud9, targeting towards Froggen yet again.
Ooh, okay, so Thresh banned away. This means Lucian, Maokai, Kalista, Tristana, all on the table. Very powerful picks right now. And people are pretty much willing to go after first pick here. It's all about those trades.
Zach is up, Maokai's up. There's all kinds of crazy busted stuff ready to get picked.
Are you ready, Flowers?
I'm ready. I want to see what they pick. The more hard engaged champions we get, the bloodier this game is going to be, and that's the way I want to end Summer Split regular season 2017.
Ooh, the Jarvan actually picked first pick here by Cloud9, so instead of going for the Maokai, which is also a flex pick, they're going to go for the Jarvan, which can be used as well as a flex pick back and forth. And you were talking about engage. Hard engage has been the name of the game for both patch 7.14 and 15. Game times have gone down drastically. We're looking at game times, average game time for patch 7.10, and it was about 38 minutes and some change. And now it's down to about 28 minutes. Small sample size, but we're going down very drastically. I believe last patch it was about 33 minutes, so even a 5-minute drop is huge in terms of average overall game time. And I attribute a lot of that to hard engage, righteous glory, things like Jarvan and Maokai hitting the meta.
Echo Fox going to respond to that first Jarvan pick by grabbing Braum for themselves for the support role. Also getting Rek'Sai there for Akaadian in the jungle. Not really any flex pick potential with either one of those, but still 2 very solid picks.
Yeah, but even though Zach on the table, Maokai on the table, Akaadian's going to go for an early game aggressive jungler like we were expecting him to see if he can actually just allow his team to operate in the early game and kind of accelerate them further in.
Cloud9 going to respond to that by grabbing Tristana for themselves. Sneaky will be piloting that one this game. See if he can lay down the DPS on that late game hyper-scaling carry as Jensen decides to grab himself one of his own solid picks in the Taliyah. We've seen a lot of this mid lane pick it as your third pick type of things with the first round of the draft. Well, first half of the draft, I should say, as Echo Fox hovers over a few different options there, and Froggen locks in the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, Kog'Maw for Mash will be Kog, Braum, bottom lane. And a lot of people, like you said, are locking in their mid lane pick, third pick, because they want to grab that champion that wasn't banned in the first round. And then you expect the other team to kind of throw some mid lane bans, but there aren't enough bans in the second phase to get Orianna, Syndra, Cassiopeia, like all these top tiers kind of outside. So you ban a little bit away and funnel them towards a certain one that you really want them to pick. Because Froggen could even fall back on something like a Corki and have a standard matchup if he wanted to.
Yeah, very much so. Cassiopeia will be banned away by Cloud9, though. That is one of the champions that you will see picked into Taliyah rather frequently. Taric banned away by Echo Fox, realizing they have their own support. Cloud9 doesn't. That's a free role that you can target without limiting yourself in any way.
Yeah, and the Maokai ban comes out here, so they can't have Maokai and Jarvan both. But it looks like Echo Fox doesn't want to pick Maokai first, pick second phase either, because it would be Impact playing Gnar into it, most likely. Yeah. So you would ban Gnar there, which would then prompt Cloud9 to maybe ban the Maokai themselves. So we'll see what happens here. But I know Brandini isn't really too much of a tank top player. He really likes things like even Trundle, like they're banning away. He likes Poppy. He likes Camille. You look at his solo queue, it's pretty much a whole bunch of Camille and Rumble.
We'll have to see if he's able to play one of those this game, or if they will put him on more of a traditional style tank champion. Still have 2 more picks to go for each side as we get into this last part of the draft here. Bans are all said and done, with Trundle and Maokai being those last 2 like we mentioned. Shen locked in on the side of Echo Fox there for Brandini.
Yeah, a champion that he played into someday, like we were saying, and a good neutral matchup for him, depending on what he wants to do. It'll protect the Kog'Maw as well. So a lot of protection here for Mash in the bottom side of the map.
I like that. I really do. If you're going to pick Kog'Maw, you should be able to have some protection for him as that VIP, that huge scaling AD carry. Cloud9, speaking of having some extra protection for your big, important damage dealers, also thinking about that Galio. Yep, taking that for themselves.
And so Galio's a champion that really kind of just moved towards the mid lane, and then Cloud9 in particular have said, no, we'll still play this top. Jensen isn't really one of the guys who has ever played at mid yet, doesn't have a single Galio game so far this split. Impact, on the other hand, I believe it's his most played champion this split. So Impact playing that in the top lane, they had moved the Jarvan to the jungle here. And before, when Galio was mid, you'd have Jarvan top, so you could have the Cataclysm plus Galio combo. And now they're just saying, all right, it's jungle, we'll do the same thing. We'll make sure that we have that initiation. And even if somebody is able to get onto Sneaky, they have ways for him to peel back as well.
And here's what I'm excited about, Zyrene. Smoothie on Alistar.
Yeah.
We got to see this earlier this week. Cloud9 showcased this fantastically. Smoothie had some wonderful engages, and it was this same exact combo, actually, Alistar and Tristana, that was so deadly. And Smoothie would have got himself a player of the game that game, if not for the fact that Jensen was 12-0 and 8 and just constantly deleted people left, right, and center on Orianna. So definitely keep your eyes on this guy to make the plays this time around. And Froggen locks in the Corki as the final pick for Echo Fox, exactly as you predicted.
And so we talked about this in terms of not having many implications for the standings, right? Where Echo Fox are locked into it not having a postseason at all, and Cloud9 are locked into their quarterfinal already. But you just mentioned player of the games. If this game gets kind of down in the dirt and it's all about just killing everybody, I'm expecting people to fight over player of the games, because MVP awards are right around the corner, and there's a lot of talk about people like Jensen being in that conversation. Player of the game awards, that's ultimately what they count for, is MVP points, and give you a leg up, so you don't need as many votes to win it all.
So if one of your buddies looks like he's going to get player of the game, you make sure you're like,
to me.
No, you just make sure it's like, oh man, I wish I could have saved you, but all my stuff was on cooldown, sorry. Throw him under the bus a couple of times, turn him into a speed bump, add a couple extra deaths in there, and all of a sudden, kaboom, you're MVP. Loading into game 1 though, here we go. First round in a best of 3, Cloud9 versus Echo Fox. Cloud9 looking to continue the massive winning streak they're currently on. I believe it's 5 series in a row. This would take it to number 6. Echo Fox just looking to end this split on a good note for themselves in their very final match here in 2017.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about how Cloud9 had that 5-match streak and then putting that little asterisk next to it and saying, you know, they lost to some of those top teams, but they beat TSM in the second half. They took CLG and Immortals both to 3 games in the second half. So in terms of the second half of the split, those 9 matches, if they win this one, they've won 6 of those, plus TSM, and then they've lost 2 to top teams. So all things considered, they've been taking those top teams to 3 games, and so Cloud9 are ramping up exactly when you need to coming into the end of the split, looking at playoffs.
Let's see if we can get any sort of action at level 1 here. Talking about if these teams are going to try anything crazy. We talked about maybe they're just going to play for MVP points. Maybe there's a little bit of idea behind that. Obviously, not just playing for that, because Nexuses are kind of important in League of Legends, but there may be alternate motivations here when there aren't actually standings on the line, and I'm wondering if that's going to encourage these players to maybe try something a little bit risky at level 1. It doesn't look like it. Brandini, Froggen, and Akaadian just moving throughout their own jungle. Nothing's really going to be up here. Nobody moving in for any level 1 extra vision, anything along those lines. We have seen that make big differences in the past, especially if you can manage to steal away a couple of the tiny chickens from the chicken camp. but nobody wants to try to make those risks this game. Instead, all just going to be hanging around, going to their respective lanes. Both supports, by the way, also going to comment on the fact that they're starting with the Relic Shield. We have seen more of a proliferation of coin lately, but not today.
Man, I'm like kind of wrapping my head around how powerful Ardent Sensor is and just all this coin nonsense that's been going on. Akaadian actually delays doing his Raptor camp to juke them. So they checked it, said, oh, not starting Raptors. And then he waited, started them up. So I actually don't know that he's on that side because he didn't get a leash either.
Let's see if that turns into anything for them. The top laners get into a very slight 1-versus-1 here. A couple of blows traded back and forth, but Impact and Brandini. I brought it up at the start, and I want to bring it up again now, because Brandini has really done some amazing work for Echo Fox. His performances, especially on that Camille that you were talking about that he loves to play, have really been to the point where he's winning games for this team. But now he's up against Impact, who's got a meta that favors him again, who's playing champions that he's very adept on, and in Cloud9's recent matches has been a serious threat and been able to make the results happen on those champs.
And like, I love watching Brandini because he's actually a lot better than you would initially expect of somebody who's a rookie in the top lane. And going up against a lot of veterans, he still has a little bit of that, you know, play for yourself mentality, but the way he plays for himself is he's going to go dominate the lane in these matchups and try to take that other person out. Now he's going to try to get a pass through and try to get some extra attacks and take Impact to about a 4th HP. Like, that is what he's doing, is applying pressure early. It's not what you expect from other top laners because it puts them in these precarious positions where they're gankable. And he doesn't have an escape now either. He doesn't have enough energy yet. He's going to get it back here in a second.
Contractz wants this. Impact goes in, lands the Justice Punch.
Brandini hit 3.
Down, Contractz looking to finish this off.
Flash of the Brandini! What a play!
Let's go, baby. Last time he solo killed Someday. That wasn't a fantastic flash from him for the outplay, and he gets Impact in a 1v2.
What an absolute monster, this guy. We were worried about the potential of the gank from Contractz, but that was just the setup for Brandini's outplay. Could not have done it better if he tried. Very well played from him, and that gets first blood for Echo Fox. Now, he's going to find Contractz trying to counter jungle, smack him around a little bit. He's gonna just for the reason. Grabs the Krug, grabs another one, get a third. Why not?
Yeah, and that actually helps him a lot because he's having the wave mildly frozen. And look at this, they're going to try to go for Jensen. Just a little bit of a roam there.
All right, Prey Seeker. Not really much of anything else. Jensen doesn't need to blow any summoners to get away from that one. Worth noting that Jensen has heal this game. Froggen has exhaust. Both these mid laners do take different summoner spells depending on matchups, so very defensive options this game.
Let's watch that one more time here, because Brandini hits 3 in the middle of this. Doesn't matter too much, but he does dodge a little bit of the attacks, and then the pass through, the flash after the taunt to get that extra damage on it. And look at that.
Dude, he knows what he just did. He knows what just happened.
He got out. He was just, that was top notch. I'm happy.
No, that was good. That was good.
But that's what you want to see, right? From a team like Echo Fox that's like, we're trying to gel, we've been swapping people out. This is the roster, and this is why we're seeing him in a little bit over Lupa.
And we didn't even cast or curse it. We were talking about how good Brandini was, and then Brandini did something insane.
We did it.
Normally the opposite thing happens.
No, that was all Brandini. We did nothing there.
But we were there, though.
He was so good,
we
he
were part of the
overcame
moment.
the caster curse. There you go.
Brandini stepping up for this team yet again. However, Impact continues to do well enough for himself in terms of farm, 28 compared to 22 up there, so he's got the economy not completely against him. Bottom side, you can see Sneaky building up a CS advantage against MASH as well, and this is what we saw the last time Cloud9 played this bottom lane. They completely just bullied their opponents. The burst potential from these two champions together with Alistar and Tristana, you've really got to respect it.
Yeah, you do have to respect it because they can all in with the explosive charge. It's max burst on Tristana, and honestly, the Kog'Maw just wants to get to a point where you start getting those items, the attack speed, you start scaling. The Braum Kog'Maw lane was one when back when Kog'Maw had been kind of mini reworked where his W was very, very quick when you doubled your attack speed and your attack speed cap. You'd be able to proc the Braum passive very quickly, but now you don't get as many autos off, so you don't get that same type of concussive blows immediately like you usually do.
Contractz continuing just to farm up. Gonna be thinking twice before he goes near top lane again, probably, considering what happened in the last exchange up there. But with him nearing that level 6, remember, that makes the Jarvan ganks a whole new level of threatening. Once Cataclysm comes out, it's almost a guaranteed expenditure of the flash, unless, you know, you're ganking the Corki and he doesn't blow Valkyrie first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you might have some issues. But Akaadian getting into the enemy jungle, gonna find that chicken camp ready and waiting for him. He'll be close to level 6 on his own, which will make his ganks also very threatening. These two may just run into each other here. Not quite sure if Contractz will be there in time.
I think Akaadian's going to get the big one. Oh, no, just the little one.
Decides to trail away.
So he didn't have the smite up, and so Contractz walks by, kills the big one with the smite. Now Akaadian just... if Froggen has priority? Nope.
We know that there's a control ward there because the ward is disabled on the side of Cloud9.
Akaadian's going to kill it.
Level 6, Jensen level 6. So Froggen has that poke potential online. Jensen also has the ability to rotate to any sort of a vaguely nearby fight with the Weaver's Wall.
Yeah, and you can see actually Cloud9 was ready for an invade there. Contractz pulls it to the side. Impact is actually in mid lane right now, and the bottom lane had already backed. So if you took a fight there, you lose it as Echo Fox because a BF Sword Tristana shows up, and your bottom lane hasn't backed yet either. So it was good by Echo Fox to call it off, but also good from C9 to actually just be in position just in case.
Cloud9 continuing to play well as a team. It's one thing that we've seen them improve on during the course of this win streak, just that working as a coherent unit aspect of playing competitive League of Legends. It's not just everybody doing individual plays, winning their individual lanes. It's the team working together as a group, making those plays happen, and being really decisive, honestly. Which is fun to see, especially considering we are getting towards playoffs. We are getting towards the potential of qualifying for Worlds. And you've got to be able to do those things if you want to be a competitive team in the postseason. Cloud9 trying to show that even though the split has been a bit rough for them at different points, they can still be a top-tier competitor. There's a reason there's a couple Cloud9 banners hanging up in our championship hall behind us.
None of them are actually from a lot of the members on this team, though. Sneaky's the only remaining member from the time where they actually had those championships. So Cloud9 are very hungry to have a championship this year. Jensen getting ganked. Akaadian lands the Q. Not going to take the R in.
Nope, not going for that this time. Realizes that Jensen might be able to outplay that one. If there's anybody who could, it's likely this guy. Very mechanically talented. We've seen a lot of good plays out of him so far this split. In the past as well. Flash still up on that Taliyah. Did have to blow the heal over the course of that last encounter.
Yeah. Waiting for Akaadian to actually go for a back soon. He's going for longswords, which looks like he's going to go for the warrior enchant. We're seeing a lot of Cinder Hulk Rek'Sai whenever we do see her.
Almost exclusively.
And I'm upset, but Akaadian, after, you know, like he said on Twitter, feeling a little bit useless in the game that they played, I definitely think like this aggressive route for him will be something that he's going to look to try and accelerate the pace of the game. He's already sitting on 1,200 gold. He hasn't backed. And so that's a little bit of one of those moments where he's exploitable, but it also shows that he's hungry to get something done, right? He's trying to be out on the map for as long as possible. And Gate's trying to stop them from checking this dragon.
Akaadian's almost got it down. He smited it just to take it down as quick as he could, get a little bit of health back. They'll walk away with the mountain. They kept the bottom lane away. That's exactly what you want from your bot lane as the jungler, so you can do that safely. Froggen's got package up as well, so Cloud9's got to be very respectful of that until he uses it instantly. And my point is now moot.
It's the farming package.
That's what they all are early on.
Froggen just going in, taking the Raptors. I mean, it's a little bit of that jungle tax. It also makes his CS look a little bit better, too. He's up there with Jensen, like we said, number 1 and 2. Smoothie taking a lot of damage in that extended trade.
Smoothie tries to go in there, tries to flex those muscles that this duo is capable of doing, and just ends up getting it turned around on him. You've got to respect the Bio-Arcane Barrage. Kog'Maw has so much damage potential when that's active, and if you're just going to sit there wailing on his support, that just means he has free firing time. Smoothie with the ulti still available, though. All summoner spells still up for both sets of bottom laners. Honestly, summoner spells up for everyone across the board, sans that Jensen heal. Froggen with his blue buff just means he's going to be spamming these waves down pretty effortlessly.
Yeah, already above the 10 CS per minute mark. So
just Froggen things.
Keeping the CSD where it should be, number 1 versus number 2.
Continuing to push on bottom side. Explosive charge onto the turret. We'll get a little bit of extra damage.
Getting the cannon minion in the midst of the fight.
And Mash can't really do a lot to fight back against him right now either. He's so out of mana that you can't take any real trades. You just kind of have to sit back, farm underneath the turret, and do what you can. With both supports rotating around, he's just sort of stuck in this farm limbo against Sneaky, and Sneaky can't really do anything himself either other than continuing to push it up. I mean, you're not going to make a dive onto a Kog'Maw at level 7, anything along those lines. So instead, he'll just get himself back, shop up a little bit, grab the pickaxe towards that Infinity Edge, a dagger as well for the Berserker Greave, and of course a control ward to make sure that they can control these areas as they look to set up more plays. Game's still only 0-1. That first outplay for First Blood that Brandini got has been the only kill so far in this game. The teams are playing it very slowly.
It's been pretty quiet after that, you know? It was kind of getting pumped up because the solo kill in the 1v2, and then nothing really happened afterwards. Impact played it a little bit slower, went for the Catalyst, and then just kind of wave cleared and did Galio non-interactive lane things, but now they're swapping the lanes around. C9 have a little bit of a faster push here because they're the ones who initiated it because they had the bottom lane push. They can try to get some top lane turret damage here, and you can see Impact on the bottom side already, and Brandini's going to have to kind of book it down there.
Hey, at least the Galio non-interactive lane things come after buying a couple of real items now instead of, oh, I got 3 Dorian's rings, full build, game's over.
Yeah, and it's not as crazy as it was before with just a Q and then it's over, but actually a decent trade here. Akaadian's here as well. There's the TP.
All right, fight starts off. Contractz going in, gonna find the dunk on the dude, but instead the damage turns around onto him. Mash with the counterattack. Brandini into the back lines. Contractz still running away. Jensen comes in, drops the wall, forces the flash away. Echo Fox in retreat now.
Oh, they're going in again.
Cloud9 go right back into the Mash. They try to find the kill, but it's Froggen who grabs the damage onto Contractz. C9 loses 1-0.
Yeah, C9 really aggressive there to try and make the re-engage happen, but Froggen came in from the side, and Gate jumped in front of Mash at the last second to dodge, or at least block some of that damage as Mash went for a flash over the wall. But they're going to need some more reinforcements on this top side. All they have is Brandini with the Tiamat to try and clear, and then they have Gate, who's low HP, it can't really help, so Akaadian's got to do his red, and then get up here fast.
Cloud9 putting a lot of work into this turret, wanting to get that turret first blood.
Oh, he's trying to stun on the turret.
He'll do it. Impact getting himself stunned up. Taunt comes through. Now Akaadian also jumping in there, trying to get the knock up. Not going to be finding it. Exhaust down onto Sneaky. Not accomplishing enough to slow him down there.
That was fantastic 3-man pulverize from Smoothie as well. So stopping the re-engage from Echo Fox as Froggen was rotating back up. Now Jensen's on the top side. They're going to have to give up this first turret.
First turret goes the way of Cloud9, even though they dropped the fight 1-0, 0-1, I should say. Let's take a look at how that happened.
Yeah, everybody kind of just funnels in here. Akaadian gets jumped on there by Contractz, and then he gets the ulti in and has the ultimate from Brandini on him, who gets delivered to the backside of the fight. But then the re-engage here, Contractz walks up as Froggen comes in, Valkyrie's forward, and just lands the auto and has the E on as well. Just picks him up as they were trying to jump back in.
That fight was so crazy because it started off with a couple of people from each side, and then just one after the other after the other. Everybody ended up joining the mix, and it just turned into a mess. Honestly, surprised that there was only one death throughout the entirety of it, but the team's playing carefully enough to avoid anything else happening.
But a lot of summoner spells are blown there, right?
Right.
And that's what the difference is. When you approach a fight like that as a team, you're trying to say, okay, I just entered the fight, like Jensen, for example, enters the fight. You feel like you can just pick somebody off right as that person enters with your quick numbers advantage for about 10 seconds. He throws down the wall, Brandini's in, and then he has to blow his flash to get over it. And then they tried to re-engage and get on Mash, but Froggen had showed up there. So it's all about these timing windows where for 10 seconds we have a numbers advantage. Then it gets equalized, and you have to be very, very quick about how fast you end up taking that fight and disengaging it. But C9 got caught with their hand in the cookie jar there, trying to go for a little bit more.
Cloud9 has a very slight gold advantage, even though they've still got no kills. That turret first blood does wonders to pad the economy stat.
Oh, also the top and the bottom lane up in CS based off the rotations. There was a little bit of a CS advantage for Impact in the top lane that started to grow after the solo kill that happened from Brandini. But in the bottom side, it's mostly just they shove in, they rotate the lanes, and then people are losing CS every time you rotate it back and forth. And so people are losing like 10 here or there.
Oh, look at this. Right, Akaadian deleted. Gate's going to follow a double kill for Contractz. Making up for that death in the last one.
Now the Rift Herald was over with that. She didn't want anything else to have to do with that fight. But here comes Kog'Maw and Corki. There's a lot of poke.
Echo Fox still trying to keep Cloud9 away from this one. Froggen's got blue buff.
Brandini has double global. Impact has no global except for his ultimate. They can threaten this real hard.
Away. Froggen tries to go for something there. Jensen throws down those stones, keeps them away, but Echo Fox will stop the objective.
Yeah, and they even up the kills there. Contractz getting 2 for himself off the back of this engage and flank from Jensen. Akaadian tries to go in, and then Smoothie with the headbutt pulverize onto 2, and then Gate getting picked up there as well. So Froggen just kind of showed up a little bit late, not having mid-priority because of the back, but Jensen having the flank kind of put them in that position.
See, Abyssal Mask just now picked up for Impact as well, so that's going to buff some of the damage that Jensen will be doing as long as Impact is right there in the middle. As Echo Fox, they got the first Drake, why not go for the second one? Another mount means more objective control too as this game goes on.
Yeah, and with the Kog'Maw who played the Ruined King, if you get on a Baron, you will do it very quickly with both your W and that percentage speed damage. That's TP though, and at least, whoa!
Oh, minor reset on the Drake. Contractz comes here into the pit as Akaadian's gonna be taunted up. The burst comes through. He still gets the Drake though. Goes to the tunnel, making his escape. Brandini gonna be the sacrificial lamb on this one. Sneaky grabs the kill onto him. Echo Fox will trade their top laner for the mountain.
Froggen will get some damage on Impact, but Mash wasn't there. Mash was back, trying to complete his Blade of the Ruined King, and they started up that Drake. So C9 knew they had a numbers advantage. The TP from Impact, it looked a little strange at first. The Drake leash, which was unlucky for Echo Fox, they eventually got it, but it kept them around for longer than they wanted to stay.
Ends up costing them Brandini's life. That is his first death of the game. Not particularly tanky yet. Like you mentioned when we were watching that top lane fight, he did go for the Tiamat first. Shen needs some form of wave clear because he has none built into his kit to begin with. But when you go for that, it means you're not rushing straight tank items. And when you do need to be on the front line, things like this can happen.
Yeah, the Drake leashing, so they weren't able to kind of pick it up there fast enough. It's Smoothie with another headbutt, double pulverize there. Like you said, Smoothie looking for player of the game is on Alistar. Last time had it stolen away by Jensen. That Drake gets stolen away there, or at least secured by Akaadian. The Brandini, like you said, sacrificial lamb. And you're expecting Echo Fox to make a little bit more in terms of global plays with the Shen, because they had a global advantage. They have global advantage now with the Stand United and Teleport over Impact TP being down. Oh, if you're looking at Echo Fox as a team that we're kind of looking for their improvement throughout the split, want to see some split pushing as well as some global pressure here from the Shen.
Smoothie's Alistar has honestly just been so much fun to watch in general. He's really, really good at the champion. The timings are always there. We saw him flub up the pulverize, I think, one time earlier on when he was walking through the river. He just randomly pulverized the ground. But considering that happens to everybody now and again, he's been having an awesome performance on this champion so far. And because you can go in with him so effectively, you can just run in, ignore all the damage. You can play this fearless style, this playmaking style where you say, okay, let's just go. And being able to be the guy who can pull the trigger like that and say, this is where the fight's starting, when you know you can make those happen, is really good.
And Smoothie is a guy who's been a playmaker for a very long time, and he always excels at that. I remember last split, when we were doing an alt stream and he was around, he asked, like, what would it take for supports to get MVP? And kind of the answer was, you know, the Karma shield meta kind of has to go away so that you can see the impact that they have in these fights. And we're seeing it with these champions like the Alistar, and we've seen it pretty much all split when the playmakers came back, that you can have those largely impactful moments in the fight that are just very visceral.
And that's what it comes down to, right? As a package from Froggen used defensively, it's what is perceived as having the greatest impact in a fight, right? And if you go in and make some massive initiation that starts off everything and you are literally the catalyst for that fight going your team's way, it seems to have a much greater impact, at least in the eyes of the viewers, than playing an E-girl support and pressing E on your AD carry.
You're not dragging me down this conversation.
Either way, the Enchanter supports aren't the ones that usually end up having the flashy plays.
Yeah.
A Mantra Inspire is not as, oh my gosh, as a Headbutt Pulverize.
Yeah, that's why I use the word visceral there. Just from a feeling standpoint, it doesn't really get you too excited where, you gave him the shield, you played that perfectly. All right, but yes. So meanwhile, the Rift Herald had gone over to Cloud9. Was put on Contractz there, and I expect them to use it in the mid lane shortly to try and knock down that mid lane turret and free up the map so that they can start pressuring Echo Fox in the side lanes. They have the Taliyah who can use the Weaver's Wall to rotate between the lanes, and shortly, I imagine that they would start having that 1-3-1 happen for Cloud9 with Impact in one lane, Jensen in another, and then Sneaky picking up the mid lane farm. Yeah, or the side lane. Side lane works too. We're seeing that a lot from Tristana. It's so hard to catch.
Armed up. Yeah, so difficult. With the Buster Shot and the Rocket Jump put together, even if you can manage to outplay one of those, you've still got to deal with the other one. And if he's got Summoner spells up, it just becomes nigh impossible.
Yeah, it's funny because like when Tristana came back in the meta, it's kind of like people took the reckless AD carry style where you farm the side lane and then just don't get caught and just keep pushing as Tristana and get like 2 levels up or a level up. But you just don't build Frozen Mallet. So right, it just change the build so that you have a lot of team fight effectiveness with crits. but also, if you're up against an AD carry like Kog'Maw, how do they match you? They can't really match you in that split push. They're much easier to actually pick off.
C9 push machine strikes again, this time with Shelly's help. They'll take down the mid lane tier 1. That's the final one of those tier 1 turrets they had to take out. That's going to open up more of the map for their control. Safely now, they can push up into Echo Fox territory, drop down some more wards, try to cut off some rotations.
Yep.
There's 2,500 gold up, too.
Yeah, and that's off the turrets, right? They've got those 3 turrets to themselves to the 0 of Echo Fox, who struggle to even have priority in one of their side lanes. And right now, they're losing the side lane of the, right now, the bottom, where the top laners are. And then Sneaky just shoves out the top. Somebody has to go deal with that wave, which then gives them a few seconds to back, look for anything they want in the mid lane, set up for the Mountain Drake, comes up in 40 seconds. And I feel like Cloud9 feel like they're in a position where they can take this next Cloud Drake fight if they all get their backs in now.
Echo Fox pushing up, wanting to grab a turret for themselves. They still have none of the boards, Irene. They need some objective gold if they want to try to stay even with Cloud9. You can't afford to let Cloud9 just build up these objective advantages, start running away with the game as you approach the mid-game. Contractz eats a lot of damage there from Froggen. And we've got to keep watch on this guy as the game goes on. We've seen Froggen top damage charts, especially on a champion like Corki that has the potential to do so much from so far away. And he can carry games on his own if he can get farmed up enough, if he can find the opportunity to get those angles with Corki for the rockets, for those big auto attacks.
And one of the things about Corki is that he does need those item spikes, right? The Trinity Force is a great item spike for him, but then you get to 2 items after that, whether it's the Static Ship Rapid Fire Cannon, Infinity Edge, whatever it is, you do really need 3 items in your Sork shoes to be this gigantic magic damage crit Corki. And, all right, so flash for flash.
And there's no flash left. Contractz going in. Impact coming down too. And Froggen is out of there. Sneaky got the kill, which is exactly what C9 needed. Meanwhile, Mash hobbling away from the Baron that almost killed him as Echo Fox retreats back the other way from Cloud9. The Weaver's Wall dropped to cut off the path home.
And it looked like they were just trying to do something cheeky there where Froggen was mid, and then the rest of the team was trying to look at the Baron with the possibility of Brandini putting pressure bottom, but that's going to actually make them lose even more. The mid turret goes down. Froggen got caught there by the entire team play. We talked about the combo. The Jarvan goes in when they don't have flash, and then Galio ulti right on top. No way to stop that.
Absolutely not. Still 10 seconds on Froggen as Cloud9 lays damage into the mid lane inhibitor. Trying to take this one down before Froggen comes back up. Contractz going in, trying to find Mash. Gate going to be forced away by threaded volleys. TP used now. Brandini chasing after these guys as well. Echo Fox will maintain their inhibitor, and that could be huge.
Brandini does have taunt flash. It looked like he was maybe looking for something there.
There are flashes down on Smoothie and Contractz. Remember, Smoothie's blew Froggen's flash, and then Contractz had to use his own flash to find the follow-up. So either one of those two could be in potential danger if they're caught out too hard.
Yeah, so this is a situation right now where it looks like Echo Fox feel as though we have double Mountain Drake. We want to go do the Baron or at least threaten it. They have it back, and they have package on Froggen. So Echo Fox are in a great spot. There's thousands of unspent gold.
All right, here we go, but they're not going to be in a great spot for long. They've lost their tank, and Sneaky's in a killing spree as Cloud9 continues to take their fight. Unraveled Earth thrown down to prevent anyone from jumping in any further. Froggen going to be caught out again. The package only to safety as Sneaky continues to go forward. Cloud9 looking to make even more out of this, but Contractz may have walked a little bit far too forward himself as Mash gets caught out in the Cataclysm, brought down as well. A 1 for 3 for 4 so far.
And they clean him up there. Said they were in a good spot, but Cloud9 take that opportunity, and the crowd control is just something they weren't able to deal with, and it's Brandini going down first. He was the frontline tank, and he still wasn't able to get enough done, and the team wasn't able to reinforce him fast enough that they just blow him up.
Echo Fox is trying to make these plays work out. It looked like a recipe for success, like you said, considering the state of the map at the time and considering the fact they had package, but it doesn't work out, and Cloud9 takes Baron for their trouble.
Yeah, in that situation, Cloud9 need to engage and make something happen, or else Echo Fox can really kind of milk that situation. But you'll see here, Gate walks forward, Fox back, and then Brandini steps up to just kind of give a zone, and then all the damage gets popped into him. Jensen with the knock back, and then Contractz with a follow-up CC. And at that point, your tank, your front line is gone. This Rek'Sai is not a frontline Rek'Sai. It's a warrior enchant into Knight's Vow, so she isn't tanky except for a little bit off of that one item. And then Mash just has to kind of peel back the whole time. Does kill Contractz here, but ends up dying, and so does it. And Akaadian almost does as well, but he like gets caught afterwards. So really, it's a big cleanup, 4 for 1 overall.
Cloud9 now 7,000 gold up. They've got Baron. They're up 5 turrets to 0. They've lost 3 Mountain Drakes, the one redeeming factor for Echo Fox so far in this game. But everything else is coming up Cloud9. They've got all the momentum. They've got all the pressure.
I don't think I've seen a team have 3 Mountain Drakes and not take a turret, right? That's just kind of talking about Echo Fox have some objective control of the neutral objectives, but they just didn't have enough lane pressure versus C9 early on enough to get a very early structure, and Cloud9 were able to take 3 for 0 in the outer turrets, and now they've just cleaned up a lot of these remaining ones.
Echo Fox's Drake control feels more like consolation prizes than it does as true control. Weaver's wall now thrown out as the tier 3 goes down in the bottom lane. Cloud9 continues their push. They've got the inhibitor exposed in both this lane and the next one over, and Echo Fox will be hard-pressed to stop them this time. Inhibitor number 1 falls bottom side, now moving back towards mid to finish what they started earlier. Fox has to be so careful on this to not get themselves jumped on. Flash is up for Smoothie, and Cloud9's looking to go in-gate in some trouble. They're also going to be catching out Akaadian, 2 dead. Right there out of the start, a nice hero's entrance as the rest of Fox will fall. Brandini goes down, Jensen gets a double, and Cloud9 will end the game right here. Unstoppable for Sneaky.
Man, we're talking about fast games. This one's looking like a 28-minute one here. Froggen would have to pull off a miracle.
I don't even think Froggen's got it in the tank to take this one down. The final hit onto the inhibitor from the cannon minion. MVP vote goes over to him as the Nexus itself now soaking damage. Froggen's trying, but what are you going to do? You can't walk up into this. They've got way too much CC. Jensen throws him back just for good measure, and Cloud9 takes game 1.
Like you're saying, dominant form from Cloud9. There was maybe one hiccup at the start where it was 2 for 0 on kills in the solo lane in the top with that solo kill from Brandini. But otherwise, it just looked like business as usual for C9 lately. They're looking for 6 matches in terms of their win streak if they're able to take down Echo Fox in the next game.
Yeah, that was a really, really well-played game from Cloud9. As soon as they got past that early trouble, like you just said, everything started to go their way. They gave up the Mountain Drakes, but they didn't seem too concerned. They just played the rest of the map. They played for turrets. They played around the Rift Herald very well. They used it to secure themselves that tier 1 mid that can be so difficult to get sometimes. And everything except the Drakes, they just did. They're like, we don't need these. We don't. It doesn't matter.
And I feel like if you're thinking about Rift Herald, just in general should be used to take the mid tier 1 or tier 2. It's very hard to get, and you're usually up against wave clear. So like, I think in 90% of the cases that I'm seeing now, it is used to get that mid turret. And so up against somebody like Froggen, Jensen, Bjergsen, these Danish mid laners, I feel like you always want to use it there so you can get that turret and kind of put pressure back on that person.
Yeah, Cloud9 was just able to do what they needed to do well, like we were talking about as a unit, as a team, and it ends up putting them in plays like what we saw at 24 minutes in. Cloud9, they fight mid, they get themselves a 4 for 1 in that fight. Yep, everything goes great.
And this is Brandini kind of getting caught out here. Smoothie went in with Headbutt Pulverize, immediately back. That was kind of the tag team of CC right into the Seismic Shove, right into the Contractz Flag and Drag. And even though they don't have CC to go back in here, Smoothie waits for the cooldowns, impact, flashes with the taunt on, and then Smoothie has another CC. It's just back to back to back, right? And normally when CC gets blown like that, a lot of your carries just go, okay, I can walk forward. They used everything. I don't have to worry about this CC, but there was just so much on the team that they were able to take this fight in a very clean fashion, despite the situation not being so great for them. Because if you looked at the gold values that they had, there were thousands of gold on Sneaky and Jensen because they hadn't backed in that time. So they had to take a fight very quickly, or they back and sacrifice the Baron.
That game just was such a showing from Cloud9 too. We talked about how they just wanted to go into playoffs looking like they're still in their top form, looking like they're going to continue this win streak, and in game number 1 they did. I mean, Echo Fox is not a team that's been at the top of the standings throughout this split. They're not one of your top competitors in terms of TSM or Immortals, but what that means is that as a team that's looking to show your strength and flex those muscles and say, look, we could still be in the running for Summer Split champions, you need to be able to swiftly defeat a team like Echo Fox. And Cloud9 did it in game number 1, and they look good doing it.
Yeah, they looked really good doing it. And the only kind of hiccup was, like I said, in that first parts of the game. But this is the second time that I've seen Brandini solo kill a top laner, where he solo killed Someday on Shen, and then he just solo killed Impact while playing Shen. And then they weren't able to turn it into anything. They weren't able to make any plays across the map. Because I feel like when solo kills happen in a lot of lanes, like we saw it happen when Jensen killed Bjergsen and Bjergsen killed Jensen back and forth when they last played. It was about who really got that first solo kill. They turned it into so much pressure, and that's kind of the next step for this Echo Fox squad is when they get those small advantages, how do you extend that further? Because this was just such a damn good 1v2 that Brandini had, where he got Impact so low with the attacks, they got that last one in, and then the taunt flash, and Impact not being able to really react to that. He has the flash up, but he's just like, I can't react fast enough to that because it's such an unexpected play for the Shen to be able to turn that around. And Brandini played that very masterfully in that 1-on-2.
Yeah. Echo Fox not being able to translate more into that just sort of shows that this team is still struggling being able to make the calls as a team, making those macro calls, saying this is our advantage, this is how we play to it. This is how we work together as 5 to find that win. We're going to step away for a quick break, but when we come back, it's game 2 between Echo Fox and Cloud9. Make sure you meet us back here right after the break. Contractz wants this. Impact goes in, lands the Justice Punch.
Brandini hit 3.
Down, Contractz looking to finish this off. He can't flash it as Brandini!
No flash. Yeah. Nice. Do you have the health? Yeah, begin I'm kiting. Look at Kog. I can press stunt. Yeah, okay. Try. Braum no flash. Braum. Nice. Good job. Hey, here, press. I can press.
Cloud9's looking to go in, gain in some trouble. They're also going to be catching out Akaadian. 2 dead right there out of the start. A nice hero's entrance as the rest of Fox will fall. Brandini goes down.